Welcome to PC Gamer Radio. I'm your host, Lipstickpaddy. So, it's like they have their head in all of the drama around Star Citizen. They need to just pull their head out of that box of poo-poo and see things for what they are. Anyway, I'm an original backer. I've been following this constantly through development. I know where it is. Let's see where we're up to, shall we? Because people are saying that this Star Citizen 1.0 stuff here is vague. Is it really? If you think this stuff is vague, you've not been following the project as close as I have. Let me elaborate, shall I? Let's get on with it. Starware. We saw a little bit of this at CitizenCon. It's where they're going to have specific armor that you can find in the world. Also, this is going to deeply go into crafting as well, isn't it? But also, it's going to also update all the NPCs in the game so they look different. This is also going to be important for fleshing out the world when it comes to workers in the game, including security officers, just saying. This new technology also will let you wear different clothing over armor or armor over clothing. Yeah. Also, it's going to have the physics cloth here, star cloth in it as well. So if you've got a duster and you're walking around, it should flow, especially with the wind. And if you're right next to a ship that's taking off, you might get a little bit of blowback and all that good stuff. A little bit with the star hurt and all that. That's what this is. It effectively puts stats on armor. And armor has up to 20 different attributes from what it may have on them, which was confirmed by a dev during SitCon at interviews. So this is going to be really interesting when it comes in. But remember, if you're going to different parts of the world to collect this stuff, you really need the 5 systems in it because you're going to be going to the far reaches of the space that we have. And so you just can't really tie this down to 2 systems, in my opinion, because you know you're going to want to travel around the 5 systems for stuff and all that stuff. For me, who I have my Ares Ion, I'm really excited about getting pilot outfits, which I can put on when I'm getting in my ship, just for roleplay, of course. And it also gives you those stats because you can get different things. And of course, if you're a combat fighter, you will be able to put some of your MFDs up in front of you, right, when you're fighting. So that's going to be great. A lot of people say, oh, it's vague, it's vague, it's vague. We know what's coming, you daft as a brush people. We know what's coming here. You're also going to have clothing that features all different types of jobs, right? So you're going to have mining outfit, of course. There'll probably be one for piloting on the passenger ships, which I'm really excited for. That's my tip that'll be coming. We'll be seeing more of that gameplay rolling around to the next Star Citizen Con. That's when I think they'll unveil passenger gameplay. If you've got any questions on any of these topics, I will answer them in the comments. And if I get 100 questions, I'll do a follow-up video. If I'm not touching as deep as you would like on these. Let's jump to gameplay, shall we? This is not vague. We know what law and security is. When you land on a planet at the minute, you go through security, but there's no security there. They're going to put the security there. Is it going to be that impossible to see that? That's correct. When you get off your ship, you're going to have to go through customs. And if you're a known criminal, you won't be allowed in, certainly in lawful systems. Also, we're going to have officers walking around planet-side locations too. And that, again, will make sure that you can't get away with crime in the city because there is going to be police forces around. This will also be on space stations, one can expect, and also on wormholes because they are also going to be run by the security, aren't they? Also, if you're in a lawful system and you get attacked by pirates, just stick around and the security will come and aid you. It's all about they always just, what they said at SitCon is as long as you can stay alive, so you're a little bit of cat and mouse, and the security will come and protect you. If you're in your mining ship, And some pirate NPCs are coming for you. Just remember, law and security is vital, because when 1.0 comes out, you are going to have the, you know, the star thingy. They keep calling their names, don't they? That will affect you. But we'll talk about that as we go down to it. Planetary shield tech. Ground location shields, bases, and stuff like that. Remember, though, they did say that you will be able to go in on the ground with player bases and disable shields. This planetary shield, as they're describing here, must be a huge shield that is potentially covering a planet from orbital bombardment. We don't know any ships that can do orbital bombardment at the minute, do we? We don't have much information on the Vandal, do we? Maybe they do orbital bombardment. That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Because in the Castra system, that's the one where they get... Is it Castra they get stuck by Vandal or Nyx? One of them. Maybe they will come and attack that way. Anyway, so that's what it is. Just shielding bases and stuff like that. Because at the minute in the PU, the dreaded bombers that send those Moabs just instantly nuke the place. And if you've ever seen anybody doing Jump Town, yeah, they just take everybody out. The planetary shield is going to be the thing you want to negate such a thing. All right. Ownership. This is going to be interesting, isn't it? Because if your ship gets stolen, hang on a second. Should your ship get stolen, how are they going to steal your ship? It's going to get to the point where if you land in a place that hasn't got a freight elevator for your ship, it's potentially going to get stolen. Is that what they're trying to say? Because even towing your ship away is an illegal activity. So this is kind of interesting, ownership. But the big thing here is that if you, let's say you go to a bunker, you go down in the bunker, SPS, and you die, your ship is up there on the surface. You go to the hospital. This gameplay is all about the shuttle that will take you to your ship. So you're not claiming for it. So I think this is going to be part of the ownership as well. However, it does talk here about illegally having a ship. Remember, that's going to tie into the factions of how high is your reputation with the council, because you can flip ships, can't you? You'll be able to change the plates on them, essentially, and then you get ownership of them. Alright. Guild system is mega exciting. This essentially has all of the, some people might say, single-player gameplay. I imagine that some of these missions might be multi-crew, especially when it goes to bounty missions, because as soon as you get your rep up, it might give you bounties that are too difficult for a single fighter ship, and you might need a multi-crew ship or a set of fighter ships, i.e. group content is what I also expect from these. So I wouldn't arguably say this is solo content at all. But this is going to be fantastic when it comes online, because this is essentially closing off the gameplay loops for all these different professions. Guild systems also are going to have NPCs on the planets, aren't they? So if you're a bounty hunter, you will get a different NPC in each system, potentially. Potentially each planet might have a different NPC, giving different missions out. So I think guild system also means we need to populate it with NPCs, because they're trying to pull it away from the apps and get you talking to vendors and make it more narrative is what it's going to do. So yeah, this is a little bit more complex. All these have a little bit of complexity to them. Insurance, taxes and warranty. Let's start with warranty, shall we? You can never lose your ship with warranty. If you've got a level 1 ship, i.e. you bought it from the store, you've got warranty on it. Simple as that. LTI is warranty, so it'll never run out. Whereas if you've got 12-month insurance, that means your warranty will run out. Now, it does come with level 1 insurance, which is the chassis. That probably won't be too shabby, because you might not want to upgrade the ship you're in if you're just doing cargo runs. In a lawful system, you might... Your insurance, where you can, you know, if you got components in there that are better than the tier 0 ones, the civilian ones that come with the ship, and I think most people will go to that. The other thing it says is decorations. Now, they are bringing from the base building module the VR, or augmented reality for building, where you are going to be able to place things down in your ship better than we can at the minute. So making your ship look a little bit more custom inside might be potentially what people want to insure. I've got a single fighter, so not really gonna need level 3 insurance for that. Level 2 though, I think so, yeah, when I start upgrading the modules on the ship to make the laser recharge faster, shields better, things like this. And there's insurance if you die, as well as an inheritance tax you've got to pay. You've also got insurance on your life as well, which we don't know, but if you do die, there is going to be some kind of death insurance. So I think this is potentially one that we need to know more on, which is death of a spaceman, isn't it? All right. Reputation V2 is feeding directly into the guilds with all of its rewards. It will also be, I think, citywide reputation on the planets as well, especially when it comes to the instant content on Arc Corp. I'm really bad with names always, but they have the dungeons, don't they, where you gain reputation to get access to the lower areas of it. So it's going to feed into other content, this reputation V2. But the big thing here is the rep will feed from NPCs, of course. Now, new player professions. This is specifically talking about ones that are not on the live servers at the minute. We've got Builder, Crafter, Explorer. Just to touch on Explorer, planets are going to be becoming huge, much bigger than they are now, with potentially 8,000 POIs, or points of interest, on them. So you will have a bucket load of space to actually explore around, and if you've got an explorer ship to find a really good mining location, you'll be able to sell that information, especially when mining areas run out of ore and you've got to you know, a new one will spawn somewhere on the planet. So get explorers are the ones that are going to be able to scan planets and stuff like that. That's your explorer gameplay. Athlete, you just need to look at the guild stuff to see what these are. The most exciting one in athlete for me is the parkouring, because that suggests infrastructure. You're running around areas in cities and stuff. That's going to be very cool. And it says and more here. My most excited profession is passenger pilot airplanes, right? So you're going to be it's basically Flight Simulator, but people are getting on your ship. And you're taking them to other systems and stuff like that. That's going to be very cool because they want you getting off your ship while it's traveling and serve customers, talk to customers and stuff like that. So it's a lot more involved, that profession. But this directly is fleshing out all of the missions that the guilds can give you. All right, Death of a Spaceman. They said we're going to talk more on this because it needs to be fleshed out. This is going to be... might have a haircut this to fit the mainstream, because the fact that you can have death is a little bit worrying, especially if you're doing instant content in a dungeon, which is quite difficult and you could get killed. So there's going to be a lot more content with a lot more deaths attributed to it. So I'm wondering what this is going to be. It's going to be tied. Be able to die a few times. Like, because if you take a health injection at the minute, it kind of poisons your body. So you can't just keep hitting health injectors because you'll eventually poison yourself and you won't be able to take another one. And I think when you die and you get reassembled, I think that's going to take a toll on the reassemble. So it's going to make you switch from doing dangerous activities if that happens. They definitely do want you to die, though. This is the thing that they want. But they also want permanent injuries. For example, your arm gets cut off and you put an implant in. So you actually see people with implants and stuff like that in the world. This is what they want on this. So it is quite complex. So it's going to be changing characters and stuff like that. AI blades. This is replacing stuff that a human might do, specifically on turrets, isn't it? They have said, though, that this is going to take quite a lot of CPU power to run them on, which means you're going to have to sacrifice something else on your ship. So that'll be interesting, what you need to sacrifice to get all the blades running. We'll have to wait and see on that, but it's going to be cool. These blades are also going to be craftable as well, so they fit into the blueprints. Player space stations. I wonder how long it's going to take to actually build the first one of these, because it looks like it's going to be an epic achievement to get one. So potentially it's going to need an org that's mining and everything. And we know specifically that when you're crafting, when you're gathering ore, for example, there are different ores depending on the activity. So if you're FPS mining, you get type ores from, let's say, section A ore. If you're mining with a vehicle on the ground, that is type B ores. When you go mining in your mining ship, that is type C type of ores. And when you're mining from a planet location, that is assets D. So you are not just going to be able to refine from planets. You need to do A, B, and C mining. That will definitely slow down the construction of things and vary up the gameplay for different types of people. For example, I haven't got a mining ship, but I can use my multi-tool to go mining. So we'll have to see. But for me, really, if the game launches, I hope it's like a year before they can build these. Remember, they've said that the big ship, what's the big ship called? The big one that can craft these. My brain's burned. Anyway, the point is, you need the blueprint of the space station, and that blueprint might be difficult to get in the first place. Remember, all these building ships need blueprints. They just can't build them. They need the blueprints. Crafting, I think this was covered beautifully at SitCon. Do we need to know any more on this? 1,000 blueprints, all that can be researched. And yeah, it's going to be fabulous, isn't it? Definitely going to be useful specializing in something. You need to, because you can only research so many things at a time. You can only craft certain things at a time. You're better off working on blueprints because they might be expensive anyway. And whatever your favorite ship is, like my Ares Ion, I'm going to be wanting to get that blueprint to upgrade my ship to T5. So we've got all these super gameplay loops that are already jumping on us for 1.0, and that is that's not even looking at the main storyline, which is probably what I'm going to want to do anyway, because I love missions and stuff like that. Base building, we've seen this already. We've seen much of this, haven't we? It's going to be fantastic. I don't think it'll be too long in the game before people get their little cabin in the woods, I'll say that much. Because even at an early stage, you could probably want to be crafting your own food, because it's not in these slides, but your character is going to need hunger. They're going to be hungry and get thirsty, aren't they? And we saw from the slide on crafting that if you craft a hot dog and you upgrade it to a T2 hot dog with better materials, that gives you almost double nourishment. So you actually don't get hungry for twice the time. So it's really going to pay off cooking. This is simply setting your own shop, isn't it, in the world, and having people coming, visiting you and stuff like that. The bigger question for this is, can I sell my ship to a player for 1 credit? Because for me, that needs to be not, you just can't do it. It should feed into the economy, the ship price. That's what you're forced to sell them. Because I think wherever you're selling ships, you should be paying a tax. So it should be within the economy, because at the end of the day, you're a franchise of the company, right? So if I'm building Ares Ion ships, for example, I'm surely a subsidy of Crusader, and I've got to pay a little bit to them when I'm making this stuff. I don't know. So yeah, sell worst other players. What's the cost going to be? Because I don't like the idea of you setting the price. All right. Player orgs, we saw all this at SitCon. It's bringing it up to MMO standards and improving on it a little bit, especially with the calendar of events, which is something that it's in World of Warcraft, but it hardly gets used. But it will certainly help set up those org events, and stuff like that. Also going to allow alliances, set up enemies and all that stuff. It's going to be great, that stuff. Social, Moby app. This is effectively going to be updating it where you can advertise your shop, or advertise that you need people to gun your ship and stuff like this. So there's going to be like a live looking for activity in the app where you can kind of join group activity. This is going to be fun, and people might be saying, is there anybody that can upgrade my ship? If there are any specialist crafters out there, people requesting stuff like that, and this is all going to really tie into gameplay and crafting. Citizenship. We don't know if they've canned the concept of if you complete Squadron 42, you'll get citizenship. because that's what they did say. Or if you don't want to play Squadron 42, but you just want to play Star Citizen, you might have to do the storyline to get it. Because it does say current players and new players. Well, new players will have to go through the storyline, and I think current players that do Squadron 42, that's the other route. So there's two routes going into citizenship, in my opinion. We still don't know what the rewards and benefits are, but it's going to be... Well, we know you'll be able to settle down more freely your base and stuff like that. All right. Global illumination is ray tracing. It's ray tracing lighting is what it is. It's going to affect... We don't know what it is going to affect, but potentially it's going to have ambient occlusion and reflections also. Shadows. Star Audio, shown at Sitcon, this is making the Star engine have automatically generated sound from ships flying over you and doing the speed of sound, so if there's an explosion, you see the explosion before you hear it, is the aspects of the... This is just modernizing the Star Audio for gameplay sounds on a planetary scale. Star Sim is the most absolutely changed the way the game feels. We're talking about 9 NPCs per player on a planet. The cities will be alive with loads of civilians knocking about. Hell yeah! This is also going to have NPCs travelling from planet to planet. Even queuing up to go through wormholes. It says that the economy will respond to your actions, so if everybody on the server's selling pistols, the economy, for the price of... And if nobody's selling prospectors, then the price will inflate. High demand, no one making it, price goes up. That's what they're talking about here. This is what I mean. If selling goods like ships is linked to the economy, then it's determined by the Star Sim, isn't it? So I don't think you'd be able to sell a ship for for a credit or completely overcharge for it. I think the way Guild Wars 2 does it is you can basically make it 10% cheaper or 10% more expensive if you believe people will pay the higher price because you think it's going to run out. Or you just want to sell it quick, so you make it 10% cheaper. So that, you know, there might be a little bit of give and pull like it is in Guild Wars 2. Content instancing. This is the dungeon, effectively. And I really, really, really hope we get more of these. I hope there's one in each system. And it's going to be really beneficial to do these because potentially there's going to be some high-level schematics down here. Ooh, it's going to be so good to see what these loot tables are in the game. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. Ooh. Dynamic server meshing is gonna be amazing. Potentially we need this to populate the planets with all the NPCs and stuff. This might be needed because it spins up and spins down servers when demand is necessary. And that's going to be needed because if there's only one person on your server, then it will dynamically put you with other people. So the world always feels populated. And if it gets too populated, it will spin up more servers to handle the load, is what this is. That's going to be needed for big fleet battles. Big time. This is the making the planets epic, gargantuan, astronomically big. It's probably the best adjective to describe how big they're gonna go. All across it. I really hope that the Starchitect puts into place the building tools, so we see NPCs building bases as well. So you've not just got these little ones from the toolkit, but they're actually building refineries and stuff like that. Because I think when they showed off the star weather, when they walked into that little base there, it looked like it was a bit more industrious than what we normally see in the verse. So, you know. Anyway, Starchitect's basically going to make sure that everybody's got an area on a planet to set up a base, because the planets are just going to become massive. Now, it's interesting they're calling Genesis Planet Tech V5 here, because it might suggest that V6 is also expected. And I don't think Planet Tech V6 is going to be that much, because I think the only things they're missing at the minute is beaches and snowstorms and sandstorms, acid rain and things like that. But I don't think there'll be too much to implement. It's essentially the weather system is controlled by all of the parameters on the planet, so it dynamically generates itself. We saw a fantastic thing at SitCon with this, didn't we? And it also is going to make sure that the world has destructibility as well. With the Maelstrom system is within the Genesis, isn't it? So that's really exciting. We're talking about ships that potentially can crash land into forests and push trees down. Base defenses getting blown up and all that good stuff. You know, because it's not just your ship, you know, affecting water below it. It also affects the fauna below it as well. Flora, not fauna. Fauna's animals. Flora is plants and stuff. I think that's something that's missing from Star Citizen 1 is fauna, the animals, because we know that they're going to have them in, and it's tied specifically to the guilds, isn't it, for monster hunting, animal culling, stuff like that. So it's not on here, but animals is tied into that. That's what I mean. A lot of the stuff that's missing from this is from the guild, specifically the new professions, and they bleed out different things, like we need more animals in it to do that profession. Location stories, these are going to be narrative stories. Main story is going to be a exciting adventure, not just a tutorial on the game, but taking you to every single planet, all the star systems, and giving you an epic storyline, pushing you into the lore from 12 years, and culminating in the politics between Earth and Terra. That's going to be epic, because we're talking about the same writing team that wrote Squadron 42. It's going to be legendary. It's going to be very, very important, this main story, for really getting people stuck into the world. I'm very, very, very excited about main story. It's my most anticipated thing for the whole of Star Citizen 1.0. It's this. With upgrading my ship to T5 and its components, that is probably secondary. But yeah, this thing. And of course location stories and all that stuff. I don't know which things from Citizen 1.0 are going to be your most exciting thing. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, main story, my number 1. Imperial Sports Federation. This is a guild. There's lots of story things in here. Parkour, already mentioned, my favourite. Utility tunnels. This is going to be sandbox content to landing zones. So basically adding new areas. And the municipal works is going to be the place to go down into the dungeon, isn't it, on ArcCorp? It's potentially going to be the poor district, isn't it, of ArcCorp? You're going to get hobos down there and stuff. Drug dealers and stuff, and prostitutes, probably. Areas of the city that has less police, maybe. Now, Nyx. This is the... It's like a massive fecking cloud of ore around here, isn't it? So, and it has the planet that you can go down on that's toxic, but you can only be there for a certain amount of time before your has suit just overloads with poison. That sounds fantastic. You're going to be essentially mineral running. Love it. Council, these are structured missions, structured reputation, NPCs you'll meet in the underworld of Star Citizen. Mercenary Guild, these are the lawful missions for combat. Science has basically search exploration in there. Resource workers is all about mining, crafting and building. Fuel gathering, repairing. Interstellar Transport Guild is courier of small things, traders of big things, transport of people, can't wait for that, hauling things, going to be awesome. Building interiors, this is going to be very important because on the mercenary guilds and the unlawful missions, there is ones where you've got to take out people, and you're going to need more areas of cities before you can do this, and potentially more landing zones and points of interest across cities. And these are going to let you basically go into residential areas and maybe follow people, get intel, rob people. And this is going to really bleed, I think, into the kind of the location stories and the main mission where you're going to be going into these locations as well. So this basically fleshes out areas to do more mission types that are planned within the guilds. And it was mentioned by the art director that just because it's not at SitCon this year doesn't mean they're not working on this stuff. And again, I think this is definitely going to tie into guild missions and storylines. Castra system looks small, doesn't it? But you're in the space next to Vandals, so this is going to be interesting. And are Vandals going to attack everywhere in the city? This is going to be a great PvE area for knocking out them. It's going to be very, very cool. They might have PvE fleet battles here with the Vandal as well. That's going to be awesome. But I really do expect Castra to be the area of the game for PvE space battles. I really do think it's going to be big here with the Vandal in space. And finally we've got Tara, which is supposed to be the jewel in all of the systems. This is going to be an epic. We're going to see more architectural styles when we get here as well, and potentially more locations to set up a base, more locations to do mining, more locations to get schematics and things like that, because again, you're going to need to travel all 5 systems to get all of the schematics. So certainly if you want to collect them all, I do want to collect them all, by the way. When it comes to MMOs, I love long-term objectives, and I think schematic gathering is going to be one thing that I'm going to really enjoy. But this is going to be great, especially visiting Terra, because potentially it's going to have the best shops in the game outside of crafted shops, and I really hope that you get missions from shops that you've got to supply them. Like in Terra, there might be a space ship shop that is requesting tier 5 ships, and they give you good coin for that, or good credits. So there we go. This is Star Citizen 1.0 talk, trying to flesh out all these things that some content creators are saying it's too vague. If any of this you think I didn't even talk too much of it, and you've still got any questions for any of these things that I spoke about, leave them down in the comments. I will try and elaborate more than what I did here, because I've been trying to go through it as brief and succinctly as I could. My videos are always this kind of long, it's true. And before I go, just wanted to mention, I do have another YouTube channel called Kickstarter Radio 102.4. It's all about crowdfunding board games. So if you want to have a break from video games and invite your friends around for a board game, crowdfunding has the best board games on the planet. And I recently got Tidal Blades 2 Rise of the Unfolders, which is an epic dungeon crawler where you're overland across an incredible archipelago. It is fantastic. Got that this week, so exciting. I'll be playing that this Saturday. Man. Anyway, this is PC Gamer Radio. You take care, stay safe, and bye-bye for now. And if you're still here, you check my channel out. I'm still doing my Let's Play of Factorio. I love that game. It's in Season 2 at the minute, which is the end game of Factorio, by the way, and see what happens in the end game. All right. Thank you so much for watching. You take care, stay safe, and bye-bye for now.